The last laugh. There was a little snow on the ground, and the church clock had just struck midnight. Hampstead in the night of winter for once was looking pretty, with clean white earth and lamps for moon, and dark sky above the lamps. A confused little sound of voices, a gleam of hidden yellow light, and then the garden door of a tall Georgian house suddenly opened, and 3 people confusedly emerged. A girl in a dark blue coat and fur turban, very erect, a fellow with a little dispatch case slouching, a thin man with a red beard, bareheaded, peering out of the gateway down the hill that swung in a curve downwards towards London. "Look at it, a new world," cried the man in the beard ironically, as he stood on the step and peered out. "No, Lorenzo, it's only whitewash," cried the young man in the overcoat. His voice was handsome, resonant, plangent, with a weary sardonic touch. As he turned back, his face was dark in shadow. The girl with the erect, alert head like a bird turned back to the 2 men. "What was that?" she asked in her quick, quiet voice. "Lorenzo says it's a new world. I say it's only whitewash," cried the man in the street. She stood still and lifted her woolly gloved finger. She was deaf and was taking it in. Yes, she'd got it. She gave a quick chuckling laugh, glanced very quickly at the man in the bowler hat, then back at the man in the stucco gateway, who was grinning like a satyr and waving goodbye. "Goodbye, Lorenzo," came the resonant, weary cry of the man in the bowler hat. "Goodbye," came the sharp night-bird call of the girl. The green gate slammed, then the inner door. The 2 were alone in the street, save for the policeman at the corner. The road curved steeply downhill. "You'd better mind how you step," shouted the man in the bowler hat, leaning near the erect, sharp girl and slouching in his walk. She paused a moment to make sure what he'd said. "Don't mind me, I'm quite all right, mind yourself," she said quickly. At that very moment he gave a wild lurch on the slippery snow, but managed to save himself from falling. She watched him on tiptoes of alertness. His bowler hat bounced away in the thin snow. They were under a lamp near the curve. As he ducked for his hat he showed a bald spot, just like a tonsure, among his dark, thin, rather curly hair, and when he looked up at her with his thick black brows sardonically arched, and his rather hooked nose, self-derisive, jamming his hat on again, he seemed like a satanic young priest. His face had beautiful lines, like a fawn, and a doubtful, martyred expression, a sort of fawn on the cross, with all the malice of the complication. "Did you hurt yourself?" she asked in her quick, cool, unemotional way. "No," he shouted, derisively. "Give me the machine, won't you?" she said, holding out her woolly hand. "I believe I'm safer." "Do you want it?" he shouted. "Yes, I'm sure I'm safer." He handed her the little brown dispatch case, which was really a Marconi listening machine for her deafness. She marched, erect as ever. He shoved his hands deep in his overcoat pockets and slouched along beside her, as if he wouldn't make his legs firm. The road curved down in front of them, clean and pale with snow under the lamps. A motor car came churning up. A few dark figures slipped away into the dark recesses of the house like fishes among rocks, above a seabed of white sand. On the left was a tuft of trees, sloping upwards into the dark. He kept looking around, pushing out his finely shaped chin and his hooked nose as if he were listening for something. He could still hear the motor car climbing onto the heath. Below was the yellow, foul-smelling glare of the Hampstead tube station. On the right, the trees. The girl, with her alert pink and white face, looked at him sharply, inquisitively. She had an odd, nymph-like inquisitiveness, sometimes like a bird, sometimes a squirrel, sometimes a rabbit, never quite like a woman.